Thank you, Swati. Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. A very good evening to everyone present. It gives me immense pleasure and honor to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Selvalakshmi M, on the topic multidisciplinary knowledge sharing under new national education policy. Dr. Selvalakshmi M is currently the principal of Tyagarajar School of Management, Madurai, Tamil Nadu. Ma'am did her PhD in marketing at Madurai Kamraj University, Tamil Nadu. She has over 18 years of experience in teaching subjects such as marketing strategy and business communication. She has handled various administrative roles in the institution and is serving as the principal since 2015. She is a passionate corporate trainer, having trained executives of Airtel India Limited, Ramco Siemens, ICICI Prudential Life, HDFC, TVS Tires, Honeywell Technology Solutions, to name a few. Ma'am completed her faculty development program in management at the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Ma'am has over 3 years of industry experience and has been recognized with the Award of Excellency for the year 1999 by the concern. She has handled MDP for executives of Spice and Hitech Limited. She is also a representative of the Madurai Kamraj University in the Board of Studies of VHNSN College, Virantnagar, and VSVN College, Madurai. With great pleasure, we welcome you, ma'am, to this virtual gathering and request you to take over the session.
Thank you, madam. Madam, you can unmute. Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, madam.
Yes. So good evening, one and all. Thank you, Nancy, for this introduction. And I wish to thank Dr. Baba Nyanakumar for having invited me to this program. And I would like to, convey my compliments to the management of Christu Jayanti College for having initiated this discussions on the new NEP, for facilitating a platform for knowledge dissemination and sharing, to understand the NEPs better for the, which is going to possibly guide us in the days to come. So once again, I would like to thank you and congratulate you for this noble, initiative. And I will like to make a brief kind of comprehensive idea about like what this multidisciplinary approach is all about and how NEP has facilitated this, with a few basic examples of what we are trying to do today, and also with a few examples of what we are likely and trying to do in the days to come. Can I share my slides, sir?
Yes, madam.
Yes, sir.
You can share.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
I hope you can all see my
Yes,
slides.
yes, we are able to see, madam.
Yes. Okay, so this is all about multidisciplinary knowledge sharing under new educational policy. Let's just try to understand first and foremost what it is all about. So overview of this presentation is going to last for 20 minutes or so, with inputs on current education system, what are we trying to do, and what are the 21st century skills which are being demanded by learners like us, the multidisciplinary approach, what does it mean, and how does it differ from interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, and other such attempts, and what does this NEP has got to do with this, and some of the practices which has been attempted by us in some of the universities where I have been kind of familiar with the systems in place. So this, you might have seen this very often, a very popular it is, which says like today we have a system wherein we try to examine or evaluate every one of us with every one of the skills. So we are trying to possibly like if a fish is which is comfortable in water has been made to climb in the probably tree, and that which has been comfortable in the tree is being forced to prove his or her skills in the other lines, then it poses failure, like, not only that it presents a failure of the system, but also the failure on the candidate. At the end of the day, it is the candidates, the worthiness or the students' worthiness that they feel, which is going to make them a whole. So, deficiency of the current system in place is clearly explained by this, I would say. The four-dimensional education models suggest that we need to have a holistic, learning. Every student has got the right and requisite to have a holistic learning. First and foremost is about knowledge, what we know and what we understand, followed by the skills, how we use what we know, like, how comfortable are we in terms of creativity, critical thinking, communication, collaboration. Followed by it, there should be a character. So which talks about our innate ability and our skills to kind of present ourselves convincingly and take any student. Now, if you say a learner is a person who learns for the life, he's not only a student. So I would like to take this, the entire NEP as a policy guidelines for not only students, but for any learner who desire to learn at any point in time in his or her life. We might have seen people who have finished their engineering, who've been practicing doctors for years, taking into other competitive examinations, moving into management lines and other things. So this is supposed to be a learning platform. To have learning, how do we define learning? Learning is change in an attitude or behavior, this personal disposition of a person, like, from earlier stage to new stage. So how do we provide a platform for this? So this is what we look at as a holistic learning requirement of an individual at whatever age it may be, whoever it may be, wherever they live. This is the kind of requirement they have. The National Educational Association proposes that we need to have the 21st century skills for any students to stay competitive in demanding and commanding marketplaces, that of adequate learning skills. Critical thinking is where I believe the role of multidisciplinary approach is becoming more critical or essential. Critical thinking talks about our ability to understand the real problem and try to connect it with the solutions from different dimensions. Of course, creativity talks about the newness in the approach. Collaboration talks about our ability to integrate, and communication gives us a way forward to connect with others. And literacy skills, yes, there are different modes of literacy skills and life skills, which are also supportive and essential. So as an educational institution, probably we are more focused in the first line of learning skills. Now, the inquiry-based learning method says, according to John Dewey, it says that there is an intimate and necessary relationship between the process of actual experience and education, which had been demonstrated and explained clearly by Professor Panchanathan, like, who gave various examples to make us to understand how experience matters to be really educated. Now, Papert says you can't teach people everything that they need to know. The best you can do is to position them where they can find what they need to know when they need to know it. It's like, it is not about learning, it's about learning to learn. How to learn is what is a real crux of learning all about. Koloff says, you tell me as a student, you tell me I forget, show me I remember, involve me I understood. Same is what Confucius also has stated in the earlier. And all this emphasizes on the importance of the learner's involvement and commitment to develop themselves. How do we create it? And what kind of provisions do we have to nurture it is a real, policy, role of policy. Now, this is not only demanding from the side of the policy guidelines, but also it is equally or all the more kind of demanding from the teachers. The teacher is expected to possess the 4C qualities, including competence in the particular subject, a personal and empathetic caring attitude towards the learner, and a commitment towards kind of bringing the student to kind of, their success, connection, to make them relevant and crucial for everybody, whomsoever he comes across. Like, say, for example, today, my professor, Dr. G.P. Rao, one morning I heard that he had passed away. It's one of a very, very disturbing news for us. He had really touched the lives of so many individuals. I would like to quote one of his words, like, he has been trained at IIM Ahmedabad. And when he took over as a professor at Madurai Kamaraj University, he did not hold a visiting card till the end of his life. So whenever somebody asked him, where is, sir, can I have your visiting card? He will say righteously, my students are my visiting card. So today he has got his visiting card all across the world. So the role of the teacher becomes very, very critical in ensuring that the vision, mission of the leader has been kind of permeated all across, or taken through all across the universe. So it has also become more demanding. Let's come to the part of multidisciplinary. What do we mean by multidisciplinary? In ancient days, we had Gurukul system where which nurtured this system of knowledge of many arts. Liberal arts talks about a liberal notion of the arts. So arts and science, what are they talking about? One is arts talks about like the ability to bring in creative, innovative, acumen of an individual, and then bring out the best in the person. So arts is one, like which can be inculcated, nurtured in an individual. A person who sings or a person who paints, the one who spends lots of time in the art that he loves, and he is able to kind of evolve. And also, it's not only about science; is all about the cause and effect. Like, what is the cause? What are the variables that we need to put in to see that we get the resultant effect? So it talks about the objective approach, which comes out of the personal, kind of intuition, vocational courses like carpentry, cloth making. Like this has become more of a today, even a high class engineer. There's a problem with the fuse, they immediately sink in. They stay for 2 days or wait for a day for the person called electrician who comes in and ensures that the fuse is being plugged in. Like this was not the case in olden days. Possibly even if you look at our uneducated mothers, they without minute of hesitation, they will go to the fuse box and they'll get it done. So such vocational training, we believe, or that is another reason why such services have become of greater demand these days. But we believe these are only meant for those people. Fine, we can have expertise and professionalism in those, but still this is also essential and can be considered as a life skills for every one of us. Profession, yes, professional courses, that which demands the commitment and responsibility on the outcome of the individual. Soft skills, which acts as a pad, connecting link in terms of communication, interpersonal skills. So how do we bring a liberal notion of the arts? How, I mean, instead of that's why we call it as these days, NEP very often talks about liberal arts. It's about connecting all these things liberally so that the person is developed holistically. Now, why do we talk about this? Today we are looking at T-shaped worker. A T-shaped knowledge worker is a person who not only has a specialist knowledge, but who also is more of a generalist, who's able to see his part in the whole. Like if you look at a doctor if you look at the parts of our body, the respiratory system, the excretion system, or whatever, unless and until they are integrated and working, we may not be able to function effectively as a person. So is the case with the doctor. A doctor who knows or who is known to be a dentist, if he's not able to understand the effect of anesthesia that he gives on the probably on the respiratory system of the person, then he fails as a doctor. So this relevance, as with the more we become specialist, the less we become generalist, which is a very dangerous thing. So this also has needed proper addressal. While we say we are a specialist, it is more important that we also understand our part in the whole. Now, you might have heard this holograms. Holograms are the ones like you might have seen in books, which talks about or which helps us to see it, like labels are not be stuck in small places. Like you can see it from any sides. So one hologram is one which gives us to see the same picture from different dimensions. Second thing, it also gives us a connect between one and the other. So in terms of learning, in fact, it helps us to restore the learning from the short term to the long term. So it's like a hyperlink. We click on this, it is able to take us to the next level learning, next level understanding, and so on. We need a perspective of a hologram in our learning approach also. Now, what is this discipline? Like we talk about multidisciplinary. It has been proposed in earlier researches how they kind of vary from one another. Today, we are in a field of intradisciplinary, meaning like take medicine, then it talks about intradisciplinary of being a gynecologist, being a dentist, and also and so on and so forth. Now, multidisciplinary talks about having specialists in different lines. It talks about science, arts, maths, sports, and whatnot. We have only come to the level of multidisciplinary, wherein people from different disciplines work together, each drawing on their discipline's knowledge, so that you get a big picture, so that we understand what is in a home. We may have to evolve in future towards a cross-disciplinary approach, wherein the impact of one discipline over the other is also being realized. Then it goes about with interdisciplinary approach, wherein integration of knowledge from one field is being taken forward to the other, and the benefit is also being acquired because of this. And finally, a transdisciplinary approach, which talks about creating a intellectual framework which is beyond the disciplinary perspective. So it will be unique, one of its kind, because like once when it is all been merged and new science, new knowledge is emerged, then it becomes transdisciplinary. Today we are trying to go in for this, like our education system, which has been more and more of focusing towards interdisciplinary, is moving towards something like a multidisciplinary approach. We're trying to at least bring in the perspectives of other disciplines for the learner to have the big picture. Now, what has NEP got to do with this? Like, how has NEP kind of addressed this? First and foremost, it says that it is envisioning of looking at one large multidisciplinary higher education, at least in near every district by 2030. Now, it says instead of having verticals in certain fields, in engineering or in technology or whatever, they say if a higher education, at least at the higher education level, if you are able to have multi-disciplines at the same university, there is every possibility of us gaining inputs from each other disciplines, and then making the most of the knowledge being shared. It can further be evolved into the other levels of cross-discipline and transdiscipline and so on. So multidisciplinary and education research institutes, universities are being proposed as Meru, which will serve as a model public universities for others like to take it forward. Now, the curricula, NEP says that there will be flexibility in curriculum to include credit. We talk about CBCS, credit-based choice system, which has been the basic level, which is right now available with us, wherein the student is eligible, or the learner, I should say, the learner is eligible to take a minimum credit of, say, let's say 120, and each subjects are being offered at various credits. So he can choose whether he wants to go in for a 4 credit of subject which is taught in the class, or a 3 credit of field assignment, or a 2 credit of a skill-based course. They can mix and match and then go about with a choice-based system. Now, to enable it to be completely active, it is becoming very challenging these days. But still, the institutions which are able to facilitate this are at greater advantage, because the student chooses the subjects according to his expertise, competence, desire, and it also gives him a sense of commitment. Then it talks about the global citizenship education. This is to sensitize the learners about the awareness of the contemporary global issues, including the pandemic that which we are struck, for the past 1 year at least. So we need definitely a global education, globalized education. Like we had a professor who taught us digital marketing from Malaysia in last year, so during that time, like when the teacher was teaching, the teacher himself will be asking, what is the scenario today in India? So have you opened up, have you introduced the medicine? Has the vaccination started? How are the students? So you say, no, in our country it's like that. So it in fact facilitated a sharing of a perspective, and it can go way beyond that. So the importance of today, we say it's a global village wherein, or a global approach wherein we think globally but act locally. This global citizenship education cannot be neglected. Unless and until we are aware of the global standards, and then we see today it is very, one of our teachers used to say, he had a very studious son. So she said, like, my son, I want him to do his undergraduation in the North India of our country, in the northern part of our country, and his higher studies in some other country. This is to ensure that he is completely being exposed and kind of experiencing the global learning. For this, the person has to go all the way out. This was kind of not only evolutionary, this was for her, it was like revolutionary, because she has to break the system, to go out of her way to find the new dimensions. But today, this NEP is trying to make this very simple. So instead of going out of our way to acquire this, if the system facilitates a kind of a cross integration of knowledge, then that is what this global citizenship education is favoring towards. Internships within the industry, therefore, it is not only education to education. What is more important is about the experiential learning. How about internships with industry, businesses, and artists, so that we get to know from day one? In one of my villages, there's a doctor who had a son who had a very, very sophisticatedly brought up son. So he said, like, then there was he was in a village, and he had seen a small boy who's also studying in the nearby village. So he was really feeling bad. He said, like, my son, when I send him with 10 rupees note, ask him to get 2 eggs and come back, he's blinking at me without knowing what is being given to him at what he has to collect and come back. Where in the village, the person who's educated in a small village, since out of his practice, he runs and he goes, gives a 10 rupee note, pays 9 rupees for the 2 eggs and gets me back the 50 paise without any second thoughts, and because he is straight in touch with what he has to be doing in the future. So this is the biggest bottleneck for our people who are only surrounded by education. Probably they lack their interaction with industry. So NEP has given a forum and made it kind of a mandatory from class 5. They are kind of encouraging these internships. I would say has given a great opening. In fact, Internshala is a wonderful platform in which there are over 1 lakh internship projects. We were very, very worried, like last year when our students were in lockdown, had to do an online education. On all that we did was we encouraged them to take up a lot of internships. Believe me, it had facilitated them a lot of confidence, because they were directly in connect with the practical world, and not only that, they were able to test their knowledge that they've acquired through some applications, and that confidence had reflected in their placement interviews. So this not only goes with the industry, it can also go with research internships with faculty, and with the influx or with the thrust being given on researchers. Contribution of research by Indian academia is very minimal. So therefore, a lot of thrust has been given there. Even in NIRF, there's a weightage of 30%. So to facilitate that, the internship will have to start with not only the faculty, but also from the students, from the research. So collaborative researchers and with the students. And this has also been encouraged largely in NEP. This also goes across disciplines, so that there is a big picture, or there's a cross-disciplinary knowledge sharing here. Of course, flexibility of subjects, credit transfer, and multiple entry and exit. Probably for this, I thought we'll go about with understanding it a little more. There has been a phenomenal change in the approach in the structural length of degree programs, to the extent that they have changed this approach of 1st to 5th standard, then 5th standard to 10th standard, 10th standard plus 2. So this system has been again changed to 1 to 3, then 4 tiered system, 6 to 8, then 9 to 12. So it has been changed only to kind of facilitate individual attention at preparatory stage and then middle stage and all that. Similar provision has also been given at the graduation and post-graduation level. So instead of making it a mandatory 3-year program, they've also come out with integrated programs which can even extend it to 4-year program. And there can be, today we have only in engineering, I believe, or in any diploma programs, we have this lateral entry, it will be a special case wherein if you have done a polytechnic, you can do a lateral entry after a year, that will come under a special case and all that. But here the system opens up the provision for multiple entry and exit point. You can get into a course at some level and then move out to another course at another level. I heard that again in universities in overseas, especially in the Southeast Asian countries, you can do 1 year of course in your regular university. The second year course can be done online, or it can be done in another university in another country. So it will be considered as a creditable course, or the credits will be considered for that. So the workload or the kind of pressure on the candidate to stay in a place to learn and all that is being taken care of. So this requires a repository of credit. So therefore, an academic bank of credit has been created, wherein there is a digital storage where you can earn your credit elsewhere and kind of hold it, which will be shared, which will be utilized when the degree or certificate can be given or acquired. The different designs, master program has also been designed, and the research has been given a lot of focus. 2-year program with the second year on research for those with 3 years bachelor degree. Alternatively, for students completing a 4-year bachelor program, there could be 1 year master. How interesting! You normally will do 3 years of undergraduation, 2 years of post graduation, then we go in for an MPhil. If it is an MPhil, then you will have a comfort of a PhD, which can be done in less than 2 years. Now we have a system wherein we have a 4-year bachelor program, which will give us an advantage in the 1-year master program. Even in the master program, if it's been research based, then it has an advantage in the forthcoming PhD. So there's an integrated 5 years bachelor master's program and a PhD for master's degree or bachelor's degree with research. If you have done your research at any level in the undergraduation or post-graduation, definitely it is gaining its own credits, and the person can walk into the system. So these are some of the proposals. Like it says at higher education, students at higher education industries, as I was telling you, research internships, local industry internship, business internships being widely appreciated. Internships in degree courses will be instrumental in strengthening the employability, and it will be included from class 6. So these, some of this one. Now let me again, these are some of the proposals. Now let me take you through some examples, like, probably wherein this has been applied or tried upon at a small level. First and foremost, like let's look at this faculty development program to have an example on the exit and entry, multiple exit and entry levels. Now we all have, many of our faculty members have been to this IMA faculty development program. Earlier when we went on, it was for 11 months program sometimes back. Then it became 6 months, then it became 4 months because of the kind of the institutional support which is required to see that the faculty is being sent to IMA for a long-term development, training. This is for the faculty members. So what have they done? They have reduced the program first initially. So the alternative could be to reduce it 6 months, then 4 months it was. Now there's totally another approach which is coming in. Now they have really compartmentalized it into 3 levels. So first one is about the full faculty program, wherein you have one on pedagogy and research and another one on general management module. We can choose our module. You can enter and exit at any level. The real advantage is it's not only about entry and entry of, for the faculty only. It can be considered by any of the others who the industrialists want to be a part of it, or if any of the other administrators would like to get to know in academic institutions, they are also given a provision to have it in different modules. So you say the website, this has been picked from the website. Candidates can apply for admission for any one of 3 possible certifications: certification of participation in the FDP, which is full; certification of participation in the pedagogy and research module; or certification of participation in the general management module of the faculty. So it gives us options. This is making it kind of a more flexible, not only for the person who learns, but for seeing different learners or co-participants who are all going to make part of the or going to contribute largely to the learning effectiveness. So this is one for the one example. The other example I wanted to cite is, I'll just take another 5 minutes time, is to talk about the practical approaches in management. This we have attempted in our own institution. It's called as IAA, Integrated Institutional Learning, IAA approach. So what we did was, we had this 4 C's in mind. So we tried integrating across the various disciplines. So marketing, finance, HR, economics, and there are 2 other subjects like operations and strategy, which we had for any student who pursues who's pursuing the first year course. So what we did was, we integrated 2 courses completely by sequencing the program in such a way that they both work parallelly. So we kind of adopted or made the modules more accommodative. And then every fifth session, there will be a case study. The case study will take the student to a financial perspective, through a financial perspective as well as marketing perspective. So our integrated approach had the first notion of teaching concepts individually, but bring them alive collectively and interactive. So what do we do? First level is we will kind of 4 sessions, the marketing management. We tried it in 4 P's of marketing and as well as the financial modules of cost in accounting. So when we first 4 levels of lecturing of marketing will be over, the finances, the tech concepts will be taught. Then we picked up a case like Nike. Then Nike, what is the marketing perspective of Nike? What is the financial implication of Nike? So we did this for the first week. Then we had integrated again the next 2 more subjects. So there were totally 4 subjects. So in each one, this was like a team teaching more often, but it had given the student to have an experience of all the dimensions. So we taken another case. I think it's like say Arvind Hospitals, wherein we used HBR cases to see that there is a holistic understanding of the case being discussed. So we had a marketing and finance dimension. Then there was an HR intervention. The HR faculty came in with the perspective of how Arvind Hospitals was excelling in that, and what are the economies that they play, economies of scale, economies of scope. So they were bringing in the 2 perspectives. Then we went in for 6 subjects, in fact, but then when we tried for the last 2 subjects, it was like little more taxing. We ensured the presence of all the faculty. It not only kind of helped the faculty gain a cross sectional view, but also the students became excited about this, and it was like their short-term memory to long-term memory were there. It was an experiential learning, one of its kind learning, which helped in fact them. So this we had tried at various levels, and we are trying to kind of use it for different subjects also. This is at the management level that we tried. Now we have a whole lot of subjects that we can do this, whole lot of subjects. Even if we integrate 2 or more subjects, that will be one of its kind. Now, learning online normally like this, we normally say learning online is like moving from the old mobile phone to the new mobile phone. So we will always feel like pulling out the old mobile phone because we feel it like it's more handy, it was more useful, or my data, I know how to track it. But when somebody gives you an Apple iPhone, we will not really throw it away just to use the comforts of the old mobile phone. It might take some time for us to be acquainted and comfortable with the new mobile phone, but then we would love it. So this is how I would see the multidisciplinary approach also. It might definitely not be as comfortable as we are now because we are used to normal methods, but the advantage it gives might help us to eliminate redundancy of resource establishment, capability building. Because let's say we have a music academy in one school, which has got a full set of musical instruments, the teachers and everybody being developed. And if you want to replicate it, we have to develop one more like that in another place, which is redundancy and wasteful of resources. Instead, if that particular module alone, the student can come in and do it, they'd get the best of the resources, best of the knowledge and the competency, and that will be the real way forward. So that way, I think this multidisciplinary approach should be pretty kind of forthcoming or like progressive for us. But Shashi Tharoor, the Congress leader, commented, the challenge is to ensure the aspiration is matched by implementation as always. So I would say definitely our challenge is not to aspire for skies, but also to reach out at least to the treetop more successfully. So this is my kind of a thought in this lines. Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Nice presentation. I once again thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, very much for the wonderful insights.
Thank you.
Yes.
Over to Nancy.
Nancy, are you there? Yes. Yes, audience. Now, if you are having any queries, you can ask just. Otherwise, you will go to the next program. Audience. Yes, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all the patient listening.
Yes,
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, madam. Thank you for that one. Okay. we'll move on to the next session. On behalf of Kristu Jayanti College, I once again thank you, madam. Yes.
Baba sir.
Yes, sir. Now the next speaker is also ready.
Yeah, Baba sir, you can.
Yes, sir. Yes, Nelsie.
Please kindly, all of you can kindly switch on your video for a photograph with the resource.
Madam, you can be there for photograph, madam.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
All of you can switch
All
on.
of you can kindly switch on your video for a photograph for the documentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I will share the photographs after the session, madam. Thank you.
Okay, Baba sir, you can just conclude and then bring them on tomorrow's sessions and we will.
Yes, sir. I think next session, sir is there. Hello. Okay. Yeah, I am also in co-host. You can talk. I will try.
Okay, Baba sir, you can just make the concluding remarks for the day and then wind up. So I think, yeah, there are no questions to be, raised or queries to be answered by the resource person of the day. So thank you very much, dear participants, for your active involvement and your cooperation. So
Yes.
with this, we just come to the end of today's the sessions, and you are requested to join back at 4
Sir, no, sir. Sir is there. Next speaker is ready, sir.
Yeah, Nancy, over to you.
One, sir.
Sorry for the delay. Um, Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Warren Bennis. It's my pleasure to introduce our second resource speaker, Dr. Unnas Molla, on the topic employability and creating future business leader through management education. Sir is currently the Chief Executive Officer of International Business Center, Kolkata. Sir is an MBA graduate and is a recognized Paul Harris Fellow, TRF USA. Sir did his education at IIM Calcutta and Jadavpur University. He is a global corporate leader, Fortune 500 company analyst, business strategist, leadership coach and change maker, foreign trade consultant, educationalist, project management consultant, Living Legend Award winner, has association and membership with more than 200 international organizations around the world. He has received more than 200 awards and recognition from corporate world, academic world, and social media world for his unique contribution. With great joy and honor, we welcome you, sir, and request you to take over the session.
Sir, you can unmute and join, sir. Unmute yourself. Yes.
Hello,
Sir. Yes,
can
sir.
you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can start, sir.
You can hear me now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can
Good.
show your video, sir. Unmute
Huh?
your camera.
Okay, 1 minute. Can you see me?
Yeah, no, sir. We are unable to see your face.
Huh? Have you seen me?
Your voice is clear, but we are unable to see you. Sir, your video is muted. You can unmute your video. That is switch on your camera.
Okay, sir. Can you view my video?
No, sir. We are able to hear your voice. You have to
Okay.
unmute, sir. Under that, you can see the video icon will be there.
I've seen the video. Now?
I think I am unable to see. Maybe, sir, you are able to see.
I am seeing you, but okay, just I'm just new login. Just I'm logging.
No,
again.
sir, you need not log in. You can simply unmute your video. In the
Oh, acha,
Zoom
video.
field, under that one. You can see
Start video is already unmuted.
unmuted.
Video is already unmuted.
Unmuted. Ajit, sir.
Can you see my video right now?
No, sir, we are unable.
Sir has to unmute, sir.
Unmute.
Yeah, sir is muted.
Sir, make him
video.
co-host.
Make
sir co-host so that he can.
Already co-host, sir.
We made him co-host. I think he moved out.
Dear participants, please stay tuned. I think sir will join back you.
Department, the principal, the deans, HODs, participants from various institutions, faculty members, and students of our college for their continuous and constant support to make today's conference a successful one. I request all the participants to join for the further sessions tomorrow at 4 o'clock using the same Zoom credentials.
Okay.
Looking forward to see you all. Thank you once again.
Thank you. We'll meet
Thank you.
tomorrow.